Well, what do you do with all these small pieces of batting that are left over from the projects? They're cut-offs, they're all small pieces, nothing that is going to be easy to use to make any kind of quilts. I've got another pile of them over there. They're all short cut-offs. So what do I do with them? Well, first of all, I get some fabric, put some batting on top of the fabric, and then I sew strips of fabric onto that. And then I look at the things I have to sew onto the fabric, and I sew strips of fabric on, and then I cut them into strips. Just like that. They're quilted. It's just quilted, flip and sew. Any direction works. Flip and sew. I just cut them into pieces that are all the same width. And then I start sewing them together. I will take a piece of, I cut mine into 3 1/2 inch strips because that's a nice size for sewing together. And I take one piece of fabric and start. Then I sew using Quilt As You Go method, one block onto there. Then I turn it and I sew a longer strip onto one side. And then I turn it again and make another strip on the other side and another strip on the other side. And this turns out to be a 10-inch block. 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 3 1/2, 10-inch block. The back has a center that's different. But when I make a whole bunch of them and join them together, they're going to make a nice quilt. So I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to sew another side on here and another one on here. And then this block will be offset instead of right in the center. And the block will then be about a 12 1/2 inch block. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Add another row to the outside. But that uses up all of my little pieces of batting, a whole bunch of strips, scrappy bits, and it's kind of fun to make. So that's what I'm doing today. Getting rid of that pile of batting. I've made quite a few squares now, and I have used a variety of solid colors as my starter block. There's a turquoise, a yellow, a green, an orange, and I think that's kind of nice. And then on the back, all the back is so far is pink, that pink pattern with the blue flowered in the center square. But I think I want to make this a little bit bigger, and I've run out of the pink fabric. I've got enough of the pink backing for 2 more squares. And then I'm going to start using the blue flowered print as my backing to go as a border around the outside. And I can still use red scraps on the front. It's really very versatile. Adding more, adding more, adding more. And the squares are turning out to be quite nice. They're a little bit heavy because of all the seams in them. So they might not be suitable for a little baby, but this is great for a lap quilt, or this is great for a car quilt. I always like to have a quilt in the car because we have a lot of snow in the winter. You never know when you might get slid off the road. You need something. So, yeah, it's kind of nice, and it uses up all of those little bits of batting. Uh, as if you listen to my last drunkard's square, the 6.5 inch circles, I'm waiting for a roll of batting to arrive in the mail. I hope it comes today because I want to continue to make my other quilt. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting, I'm just using up some strips of fabric and some other strips, bits and pieces of batting. Eh, it keeps me off the streets and I'm well occupied, and it's a positive thing to do. So if you think this is a worthwhile thing to do, go right ahead. Ask me questions. It's an easy thing. Uses up all of my little bits and bobs of scraps, that's for sure. And I like having fun, and somebody will enjoy it, or I will enjoy it, one or the other. I hope you thought this was worthwhile. So give me a thumbs up if you think it was. Make a comment or two. It's quite easy to do. Have a nice day.